In the news today, local news, Clara Secondary School humbles Madonna Model Secondary School. On the state scene, two polytechnic students in police net over alleged robbery. Sporadic gunshots as Imo State House of Assembly suspends 6 lawmakers. On the national news, Nigerian media slams Buhari National Assembly over proposed anti-media laws. On the foreign scene, South Africa Zuma riots, death toll mounts amid looting, and man in China united with son after 24 years. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Clara's Press Club News app. My name is Madam Chukwebu, and I have with me today Madmere Chukwebuka, presenting on the national news, Nduku Ozioma, presenting on the state news, and Stephen Sincha, presenting on the foreign scene. Claris Secondary School Nekede soundly defeated Madonna Modern Secondary School, Works Layout, Owerri, in an inter-school debate held on the 9th of July 2021 on the topic, Financial Success in Life is Centered on Good Education. Madonna Modern Secondary School proposed the motion, while Claris Secondary School opposed it. The debaters flexed their muscles in exhibition of their understanding of the motion. At the end of the competition, the panel of judges, ably headed by Reverend Father Emmanuel Okata, the Dean of Students of the Declaration Institute of Philosophy, and Dr. Mrs. Ugochi Mbago of the Department of English Language, Alvan Ikoku Federal College of Education, commended the two students for their efforts while presenting areas for improvement.
The average here is 252.2. And the percentage is 14.36. Can we give them a round of applause? While the opponent side is Claret University Secondary School, they got the total sum of 1,200.
Secondary School soundly defeated the Madonna Model Secondary School with a woofing sum of 1,200 to 252. The competition was graced by representative of Imo Youth Progressive Forum and the Human Resource Manager of All Season Hotel Owerri. The presiding Reverend Father in today's Mass urged students to be steadfast and focused in their dealing. He also advised students to take their studies seriously to justify the payment of school fees.
But still, some of us, we put in our best year in, year out. We come to school knowing this heavy burden, but still, we want to do what? Achieve something. Even if we don't want.
State news. Sporadic gunshots on Thursday took over the space of the Imo State House of Assembly as 6 lawmakers of the House were suspended. The Speaker, Paul Emezie, who announced the suspension of the lawmakers at the floor of the House, said that their suspension was based on conducting themselves in an unparliamentary manner. It was reported by our government house correspondent that it was after the plenary had been concluded in the suspension of the lawmakers that there were gunshots in the air, said to be from the security operatives, as a result of which both lawmakers and the workers scampered for their safety. Among the suspended lawmakers, 4 were members of the All Progressive Congress (APC), and the other 2 members of the People's Democratic Party (PDP).
This is gunshot firing everywhere in the Imo State House of Assembly right now over the suspension of 5 honorable members by the Speaker of the House. There are sporadic gunshots right now at the Imo State House of Assembly, and people are scampering for their lives.
The suspended members include Uche Uwagu, APC Ikedu, Dominic Ezioha, APC Oru West, Michael Cram, APC Obo, Anyadike Nwosu, PDP Ezinite Mbise, and Philip Ejiogu, PDP Owerri. In another development, 2 polytechnic students in police nets over alleged robbery. The Imo State Police Command has arrested 2 suspects, Christopher Obilonu, who is a biochemistry student of Federal Polytechnic Nekede, Owerri, and his gang member, Michael Ebere, for the alleged involvement in cultism and armed robbery. The state police, in a press release signed by the public relations officer, Mike Abatan, said Christopher Obilo, one of the suspects, is an HND student of biochemistry in the school. The release said the gang had been terrorizing the Nekede community and initiating unsuspecting students of the school into their fraternity. It disclosed that the Imo State Command's tactical team stormed the hideout of the suspects at Nekede Polytechnic Road, Owerri, Imo State, where it was arrested. When his house was searched, a local man called to size the barrel gun, 1-shot axe, a saw blade, and substance suspected to be hard drugs were recovered. In a disclosed that an interrogation, the suspect confessed to be a member of the dreaded Black Axe confraternity and also a member of a robbery syndicate with an operative base in Nekede. Meanwhile, the State Commissioner of Police, Abutu Yaro, had promised to sustain the improved security in the state, calling on members of the public to always furnish the command with useful information. Next on the news is National News by Madumere Chukwu Ebuka.
Nigerian media slams Buhari, National Assembly over proposed anti-media laws. Several major Nigerian newspapers Monday carried a front page editorial as they accused the authorities of planning to clamp down on freedom of information. Sponsored by the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Nigerian Guild of Editors and Newspapers Publishers Association of Nigeria, the advertorial, which featured a man behind a cage, said the Nigerian government is sponsoring amendments for 2 acts, Nigerian Press Council, NPC, and National Broadcasting Commission. The publication on Monday marked a turning in the media's fight against the amendment bills. Many journalists and groups have condemned the proposed amendments, describing them as an attempt by the Buhari government to steal the freedom of speech and a way of muzzling the media into silence. NU President Christopher Isu Gozi told Channel Television in June that the union is opposed to the amendments and that any regulation that tends towards the control of the media by the government would be resisted.
At least 30 people have now died in the violence which has been engulfing parts of South Africa since the country's former president, Jacob Zuma, handed himself into police last week. Almost 800 people have been arrested in the unrest, which began as protests following Zuma's jailing on Thursday. But the protest turns violence over the weekend, with the fire set, highways blocked, and business looted. The military has now been deployed to help the overstretched police. Police Minister Becky Selle told journalists on Tuesday that if the looting continued, there was a risk and area could run out of basic foods. Man in China. In another development, man in China reunited with son snatched 24 years ago. A Chinese man has been reunited with his son after a 24-year search that saw him travel over 500,000 kilometers on a motorbike across the country.
Gyogan Tang's son had been snatched by two aged human traffickers in front of their home in Shandong province.
回来了，我的儿来了，我的儿来了。
回来了，不要哭。这回交到你手里，你得好好的疼着啊，好好的疼着啊。不要哭了，不要哭了。
7月11号，电影《失孤中的被拐儿童》原型郭兴志。
Disappearance actually inspired a movie in 2015, which starred Hong Kong superstar Andy Lau. Child abductions are a big problem in China, with thousands taken every year. According to China's Ministry of Public Security, the police were able to trace his son's identity using DNA testing. Two suspects were later tracked down and have been arrested, said a Global Times report.
To end the news today, a recap of our major stories. Local news: Clara Secondary School humbles Madonna Model Secondary School. State news: 2 polytechnic students in police net over alleged robbery. Sporadic gunshots as Imo State House of Assembly suspends 6 lawmakers. We also brought you news from the national and foreign scenes. On behalf of the news production team, my name is Madabuchi Favour. Thank you for listening.